Yes, we're live now. Yeah.
We're really
we
live.
are. We're really live.
Well, welcome to the DLLS Dallas Stars podcast. If you didn't know, we didn't know we were on either, because apparently we're spending too much time giving our producer crap. But we have lots to talk about today. Game 2 of the preseason schedule was last night in Denver. We're going to talk a lot about our reactions. As you can see on the screen, Sean is here.
He looks like he's going duck hunting.
He does. Turkey. He's going to hunt the turkeys in his backyard. So let's start the show.
Sam, Owen, what did we forget to do today?
They wanted us to do a previously video. We forgot yesterday, and we didn't do it today either.
It's almost like, and this photo is from the personal Twitter accounts of both Sam and Owen. It's almost like there was a perfect place where you guys could have filmed the previously on today at the rink.
I feel like we dropped the ball on this one.
I shouldn't have been standing there.
I missed one show. One show.
Because Luds would have been on top of it.
So,
wow.
John, tell us what happened previously.
What I think about Dumba's wearing the number. That 3 isn't the slowest Dallas Star anymore, is it? Probably the first thing you guys want to say.
Ivan. Ivan.
When you say the guy wearing padding all over the place, I just can't stop picturing the guy from Little Giants.
Oh, yeah?
The kid when he wears that.
The whole
tube or whatever, and it's like duct taped on. My mom says the pads you gave me weren't enough.
And once you get used to it, it's just part of your equipment, right? You don't even notice it.
You're a bit of a sissy, aren't you, out there? You're never going to hear Razor say Ludwig thinks like me, because he knows that's not how it is.
When you played, there were a lot of guys going to the hair dryer to really fluff up that hockey hair.
I was just going to bring that up. There are a couple guys, everybody has their routines. You just kind of walk past the bathroom. You walk by and you're like, what the hell is that? Like, what are you doing? You know, combing their hair.
Yeah.
And, you know.
It is Tuesday, September 24th, and this is the DLLS Dallas Stars podcast. Look who's back in studio for one day only. Craig Ludwig is back from his sojourn to Western Pennsylvania.
I'm out of the kiddie park in the airport.
That's right. Luddy's here today. We don't know where is Joe in the mid-Atlantic, just floating around
There's
somewhere.
a storm coming, Joe.
By the way, the Coyotes are now in northern Utah. Is that where Salt Lake City is?
It's close enough.
Lower
it's
than
in
that.
Utah.
Yeah, they're not on the border of Idaho. But anyway, Sean
on
is
the
here.
map.
So
on the
we've
map,
got Craig,
Bloods is
Sam,
like an Amarillo,
Sean.
right?
Sean, have you had to attack any of the turkeys that are wildly walking through your backyard playscape?
No, but I am going to lead hard into that's why I'm dressed this way right now, because clearly it's the best way to do anything on this show is to move into your flaws. So I dressed this way. I saw the turkeys this morning. It worked. So...
Well, we had a fun time at practice today. We're going to get into the preseason game 2 last night in Colorado in a second. But between Thomas Harley breaking a pane of plexiglass behind the net and Mason Marchment shaving his mustache off, although we did not snap a photo of it. At least I didn't. Did you?
He wouldn't let me.
He looked stark contrast. We're used to having that big old muzzy over there. And yeah, it's no more. Now, how long? We'll see. But
he said he wanted to get it clean, and then he said to Sam Steele, if you shave your mustache, I'll shave my head.
Whoa.
So we're either going to get nothing or we're going to get a mustacheless Sam Steele and a balding Mason Marchment.
Where were they having this conversation? Not in the bathroom. Were they here?
No, I don't follow them into the bathroom typically.
I'm kind of curious how you're getting all these
I
scoops.
believe media is not allowed in the change room.
That's a true insider.
Yeah.
You're going out to lunch with someone today too, right?
Not today.
No, not today.
Don't tell them.
Oh, no, I didn't say anything.
You missed Bloods, didn't you?
Yeah, Luds is fun.
That's my little camping buddy.
That's
my
right,
camping buddy.
I can turn this way.
You're a little desert island survivor. All right. Well, Sean, it's nice to have you here as well. We appreciate you taking time away from your brawny photo shoots.
Yes.
Thank you. And let's get into last night's action. Preseason game number 2 in Colorado. The first and foremost thing is that we got to consume it in a different way. I don't know if we want to talk about the TV aspect of it and how they presented it on Victory Plus or the game itself. It was an alt cast, Brian Ray, Brent Severin hosting sort of like a Manning style cast with the game feed from the Jumbotron. That's what they were able to get from Colorado. They had our first 2 guests on our show in consecutive periods. First, President Brad Alberts, followed by Daryl Ray. And then they had your old teammate, Luke, a.k.a. Brad Lukowicz, for the 3rd period. And obviously, it was a neat way of presenting. It was different. Personally, as much as I enjoyed their conversations, I couldn't see the game as well. I feel like I wanted full screen. And look, I like play-by-play. I've done it for years. I like hearing the announcers because it helps identify, especially the other team playing an AHL lineup which you don't recognize. It really helps to have guys on the scene telling you who's out there making a play that you don't know.
For me personally, we're spoiled listening to Razor and Josh call games. Yeah, it was different for me. It's the first time I've ever seen it like that way. I'm sure it was different for those guys too, that were trying to keep up with the conversation, call a game, and it's really not that clean of a look. So, but again, it's a first kick at the can with that kind of thing. But Razor's Razor. Razor could be out there all by himself for 2.5 hours and just hold a conversation with himself. I
mentioned it to him at practice today. It was a real shame. He made a joke because they were talking about penalty killing, and I believe the Stars were on a 5-on-3 kill at the time.
Probably.
And Razor said,
hard to say, the whole game was like that, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah. Razor said a really funny line. At least I thought it was funny. He said, one of the best ways for me to clear my zone was to let the puck go in, because then you have a face-off at center ice. And both Brian and Sevy laid out. Neither one.
Nobody caught it.
It's almost like they kept going the conversation, and the Razor goes, that was a joke. And it made me laugh out loud, the fact that he had to let everybody know that, because I actually said to Razor this morning, on our show, we didn't have to be told when there was a joke. We laughed. So no competition between shows at all. But I thought that was funny.
Yeah, no competition. They did copy our guest, though. Someone said on Twitter yesterday, someone said, I would never know what the Stars president and CEO looks like, and now I've seen him twice in 2 weeks. So
popular.
Well, that means they were watching our show.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, that's good news.
Yeah. All right, so the game itself.
I keep trying to talk here, and you keep cutting me off, Owen.
We don't have our speaker yet.
We need Sean to put his hand in the air so we.
Yes.
I need to start waving white paper.
Yes,
just
or more artwork.
just drop your big pencil. That usually gives
our
attention.
answer to this question.
Just like a bunch of them right there.
Yeah, just drop a big can and make a bunch of noise.
Okay, you have the floor.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say on the broadcast thing, there's 2 things one thing just from a Stars perspective, that was the best they could do with what they got from the Avalanche. To be clear, one thing, like, we can talk about the concept and prefer play-by-play in a more typical broadcast, but the Stars weren't sending a production crew. They weren't doing all of that, but they still went out of their way to put the game on. And the Avalanche didn't even have the game on in local market. So the way for this, the only way the Avs were going to agree to let the Stars basically run this was to do something a little bit outside the box, because they weren't going to justify, hey, here's a traditional broadcast when we aren't even doing our own home market. So let's give the Stars some credit for the yes, thank you, Brian.
By the way, for those that don't know, the comment just came on the screen, because if you're listening to this later, it says, start throwing your big ass pens.
Yeah. Yes. So let's give the Stars some credit for that. That's kind of where I was going to say with that, because there are weird rights things and stuff like that people deal with. So I think they did the best with what they could. And once again, as Sam said, we are the kingmakers of the Dallas Stars media landscape. So I don't know what Razor would have done without the DLS Stars podcast appearance. I don't know if he would have gotten the invite. So
yeah, it's a good point.
So let's talk about the game itself. It was a very AHL laden lineup, and that's not a slight on any. It was a young group for both teams. There were very few notable players from the NHL roster on either team, especially the Avalanche. None of their big guys were in that group. I think maybe the most...
Kiviranta is one of their big guys.
No, stop it.
Come on, Muds.
Honestly,
Size joke.
I love Kivy.
He scored a couple big goals for the Dallas Stars.
He sure did.
Yeah. Okay,
4 years ago.
Well, that's all right.
No, look, Kivy's maybe the most notable on the team for the forwards. For me, on and in their goalie, he's one that I think is the up-and-coming guy.
Sorry, Turco's texting me right now, so I got
name dropper.
Name dropping.
Well, if it's not the guy that gets the dings on it, it's Marty Turco
just
now.
hanging out with
Who, Joe?
Yeah, see, there we go.
Yeah.
Hit the ding again.
He missed it.
He did. He was writing another
there it is.
time down to make us look foolish later. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that when we evaluate a game like this, it's important to remember two things. One, everybody's looking for guys that stand out. And then two, if they stand out in this game, it's fine, but it's also not standing out against a veteran NHL heavy roster either.
When you say evaluate a game like this, in my opinion, the majority of these preseason games, you're not evaluating the game, you're evaluating players.
Yeah.
I mean, you hate to say it because we preach about it all the time. It's not just about a player out there, but it really is. And I think what you pick up on is a couple things. You pick up on physicality, someone that likes to get involved. You can pick up on some speed and some individual skill. But I think what you look for is to see players that can play the game with 4 other players and how that translates to your current roster, because you're really looking only for a couple guys, if that. So it's hard. I think it's hard for coaches. You're going to preach team games. You're going to preach power play systems and PK and all that kind of stuff. And then you're sitting there kind of going, well, not a lot of these guys are going to be here, and all that we're working on. So and again, I just think it's an individual thing, but everybody does it, and you need to see it.
Random question for you, lads. Completely unrelated. As that's
take us off the rails.
As that's surprising for me. I talked to Logan about altitude today. He said they felt it immediately, and it didn't stop, even when they're just there for one quick game and then flying home. How do the Avalanche not win every single game at home?
Well,
they win a lot of them.
They win a lot of them,
but just see what other teams. We've tried. I know when we were there, you would try different things. You'd like to come in. Sometimes they'll say it doesn't hit you till the second day, or you need the second day, and all these other scenarios. And so guys would come in and try to get acclimated as much as they can. Now, are they getting the little bottles on the bench that they can breathe in? I
know that was a
kind of
big
stuff
thing back in the '90s, and then I think it kind of went away. They realized it was not necessarily any measurable benefit.
Yeah,
I don't know if it hurt unless it told somebody that they felt better, and so in their brain it was a sort of like a placebo effect kind of thing.
It's not in your brain; it's in your chest. You think it's going to collapse,
right?
And I'm the wrong guy to ask. I can't even breathe here in Dallas. So I'm really the wrong guy. So it really didn't affect me that much because I was kind of the same all over the place. But what you got the next day, usually back in the day, is you really got a hangover, a headache the next day. Drinking in the altitude. But
did you ever have it the other way? We took a fall trip when I was in college. Our soccer team went to Colorado Springs for a week during fall break, and it was miserable the first couple of days. I felt like I was completely out of shape. Couldn't run 100 yards without being completely winded. After the week there, though, we went back to it was suburbs of Philadelphia, and for one practice, you felt like a Superman. Like just
when you got back here.
When we got back for one day, I felt great, strong, could run forever, and it went away after one day.
Yeah.
Did you ever have that on the after?
I have every day. It's good to me every day, but for different reasons. I don't know. Sean, have you ever heard anybody give you a reasonable explanation about the altitude? Because most of the times they're not going to say nothing. It's going to hurt, but they don't want to say it.
So I actually had a really good conversation last December about this with Greg Cronin, the Ducks coach. I was actually in Denver for the time for a Ducks Avs game, and Cronin had coached in the AHL team in Colorado Springs, right? That's where the Eagles are, I think. So he had coached in Colorado.
No, they're in Loveland, which
Loveland,
is just outside of Denver.
Loveland, sorry. But it was the Ducks trip to Denver. That was his first trip back to Colorado as a visitor after having coached there for 3 or 4 years or whatever it was. And it was something where he was talking about it before the game. And one of the things I like about Greg Cronin, he's very blunt and honest about things. I think he's actually a really good coach for where they're building in Anaheim. And he said it's something where it's like, you don't realize how much of an advantage you have as a coach, as the home team there, until you come back as a visitor. And he said it's something where it's like, he really felt it in the morning of, because they flew the night that they were there the day before. He said, thank God it wasn't the second game of back-to-back because my guys would just be dead. It was interesting to hear his perspective on this, where it's something from a coaching perspective, and how the Ducks were looking at it for the future was when it comes to Denver and in there, you want to plan. It's more important about the travel coordinator's job for that game is more important than anywhere else, he said it's all the other ones, there's time zone factors and everything like that. We've talked, I wrote last 2 weeks ago for us over at diehard members about Jim Nill, with how they're looking at the timing level and when they should be looking at sleep schedules and things like that. One of the big things about Denver, they said, was you want to, Cronin kind of said, like, hey, if you can get in, and you can get in about 16 hours before the game, was the term he used. He's like, then you're probably pretty good for the game itself, and you just got to hope to God that the next game's not a back-to-back, because it'll kick your ass on the second one. That was kind of how Cronin looked at it, as a former Colorado native, now opponent coming into town.
Interesting.
We did training camps there. We would go.
You go to Vail, right?
Yeah, for training camp.
Wow.
I mean,
the boys liked that trip, didn't they?
well, yeah, but you don't like the training camp part
How
of it.
long did it take to get? I mean, how long were you there for?
4 days, I think it was.
So it wasn't long
4 or
enough to
5
really get acclimated.
No,
maybe
it just sucked because you
just
couldn't breathe
miserable.
anywhere. Yeah, you
Did you
can't
feel
breathe.
better once you left? Like do you feel like it was good training to be in that high altitude?
I don't think I've ever had that feeling. For me.
Well, we will get into more of the game, and especially talk about a couple of European players that were notable for the Stars. But first,
Yeah, let's talk
Sam.
let's talk some things today. Oh yeah.
that's not right, John.
1-800. No. Oh, thought it
Wrong
was
jingle.
it. Thought it was it. All right, let's talk about Empire Today. With Empire Today, you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick professional installation, and a low price guarantee. They are your one-stop flooring shop. They want to provide the best and most efficient service. May not always be the most affordable, but you will have the best experience working with Empire. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring, so of course they're going to have copycats, but they cannot be beaten on their quality, service, or speed. So competitors will advertise low-quality products that Empire simply wouldn't carry. They won't promise the lowest prices because anyone who does is putting flooring in your home they wouldn't put in their own. Empire's philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. What they leave out of their selection is as important as what they put in. Their virtual floor designer is a great way to see how new floors will look in your home. All you got to do is snap a picture, and you can see what the floor will look like in any space in your home, office, studio, wherever else you want to do it. Shopping for floors at a big box store can be frustrating. You might talk to someone today who was working on your plumbing at Ludz's house yesterday. But flooring is all Empire Today does. They live and breathe flooring. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive $350 off discount when they use the promo code DLLS. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DLLS for details.
Did you say something to me? I was texting Turco.
I was just talking about your plumbing.
Still name dropping.
I was just texting back and forth.
Oh, you just
Anything
just talking
interesting
with Marty.
from our guy?
Well,
our
Marty was
alum
wondering
and
if his son Finley
foundation guy?
could come out and practice with us today, but we're taking the day off since we just got back last night.
Did Marty tell you that my PlayStation gamer tag is Tardy Mirko from back in the day? Did he tell you that?
Mirko?
Tardy Mirko, yeah.
I'll make sure I bring that up. to
Yeah,
him.
he
Have
probably
you?
he probably knows already.
I'm sure
yeah,
he loves that.
yeah, he probably knows.
Tardy
Well, I'm going to
Mirko.
tell you about Shady Rays. You can get ready for the season ahead, which is technically fall now, with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. Unfortunately, I left mine in the car, so I don't have them to put on like I did the other
like
day.
your sandwich.
Well, yes, thank you. But they do have great styles for you, even maybe matching your favorite team's colors. So you've seen mine. I did it on one of our previously videos as well, wearing the Shady Rays. Plus, if they ever go missing or they take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, you can exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use the code DLLS for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
What kind of discount are you giving away there over at Empire? What's your discount? His is-
$350 off.
Why is mine only 10%? Rugged Road Coolers only gets 10%. Why you got 35% over
I'm
there?
assuming that the
$350.
flooring is probably a lot more expensive than the cooler.
But what's more
So if you got
important?
$350,
What's more important?
But if you got $350 off a cooler,
I know what
Just
your
saying.
answer is.
$350 off a cooler is probably a free cooler plus some extra cash in your pocket.
Well, we should bump up the percentage, I think. I mean, just don't you?
We
Get a
have to
free
call
6-pack of Molson beer in there?
call Rugged Road and see, right? Well, hey, last night's game, Lian Bichsel, or Bichsel as we're now being told. So here's the little thing about it. Yeah, nice little logo from our producer, by the way. A clap bomb.
Ooh.
So we talked to Josh Bogorod, his Stars play-by-play announcer, and he had a long conversation with Lian Bichsel. And long, I mean several minutes long, which is usually longer than how do you say your name.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why we didn't video and ask Lian himself today is that he was still on the ice with a couple other guys messing around after we got done with the in locker room media session and with the coach today, which was not Pete DeBoer. By the way, Pete, the team announced right as the game was getting started that he was having an appendectomy today. So I'm sure he's coming out of recovery and watching us. But if you are Pete, we hope you get well soon. And apparently he had his annual physical as the team players do, and they saw something and they wanted to take a preventative measure or prophylactically get it out, removed his appendix before it got into more serious issues. So he was not on the bench last night in Colorado, didn't travel with the team. Today, and you spoke with defensive assistant coach Alan Nazardine yesterday. Today, it was assistant coach Misha Donskov, who is also going to be a member of Team Canada for the upcoming Four Nations, which is really cool. We talked to him a little bit. And one of the things that with Bichsel still being out, as we got done with all of that, Bichsel was still on the ice.
You're still saying Bichsel.
You're still saying
It's
Bichsel.
and it's supposed to be Bichsel. Now he
Help
says
him, Sean.
he
Tell
says
him.
in the Swiss
Bichsel,
German you
Bichsel.
actually say Bichsel with a little sound. I'm sure I did it poorly.
That microphone's
But
probably nice and
he
juicy.
actually told Josh that he wants to be called Bichsel. So we all have to get used to saying Bichsel. And that being said, Sean, what do you think of the guy that scored the dramatic winning goal last night in Colorado?
Well, first off, I think it's sad that we have to pronounce it incorrectly because he wants. I get that he wants it done that way, but it's just him accepting that American audiences will never pronounce his name properly, and that's kind of why he's done that. So
Yeah.
whatever. So
But you wrote a really great article that said he doesn't care what other people think.
exactly, he doesn't care what other people think. So that's
Or say.
that's great. Or say, yeah. No, it's
Now
I
really like
thought
him.
yeah, I thought last night was like he had the goal at the end, and that's a highlight, and that's exciting with everything. It was an interesting night because for me, it's hard not to look at some of the stuff that happened in the first period. You look at the goal against is a negative highlight where he's got one hand on the stick. He should have two hands on the stick. He gets kind of puck jacked there, and it goes back the other way. There was a 2-on-1 against two basically AHL level players, and he lets the puck cross the center line there 3 different times, and Magnus Hellberg bails him out. You see you see all the raw talent. You see how this guy is going to be a big part of this future. But last night, to me, was a perfect encapsulation of there are still steps that need to be taken. There's reasons he needs to play 25 minutes a night in Cedar Park. There's still these things that need to happen because right now he's just raw and there's so much there, but there's some refinement is needed. Like I would have loved to, I know we can't do it because we don't have the rights for the video, but I would have loved to be able to pull up the video right now of that 2-on-1 and have Luds go over the way he would teach it to his U18 team right now. Because last time I checked, you don't want to see 3 passes go right across you on the 2-on-1 against, like things like that I think he will get there and he will grow into this game. And it's just kind of tempering expectations for me.
I lost my mind last night, Sean. You're right. And it will be shown to our players. And it's actually nice sometimes for the younger guys to see those kind of things and say, listen, I'm hard on you guys, but it happens to those guys too, when you got elite players. But Sean is so right. The first thing I'm like, it's one thing to let the first one go across and your goalie has to adjust from his right to his left and then to let it come back again. And then he has to adjust again from his left. Like it looked like it was a young mistake, but I don't want to say that it's a young mistake because he's been playing hockey for a long time. And when you play over in Europe, you see a lot of that. Now, the ice isn't as big, and so things do happen quicker here, I would suppose. You can look at it that way. But there was some other parts to his game that weren't as good as we thought that we saw in the first game, which is kind of going to be normal for what we're seeing here in preseason.
I think it was a perfect, as Sean said, a perfect way to look at he has a ton of potential. He's not ready.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
We didn't expect him to be.
We said this beforehand. We got all this excitement of the first game because he really stood out in a good way. And he had some good moments.
Okay.
In
so
game two.
Let me ask you that, Sean. So when you're saying he's not ready, what happens if he plays 4 more games and they're like his first game and they're really good? Do we change our mind and say, yes, he's ready? Or are you of one that says he needs some time in the American League? He needs to spend a year or year and a half there? Or what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm not a believer in him spending a full year in the AHL. Like, I don't think that's the prescribed plan that I would put out there. But I personally, I want to see this guy. I think his long-term growth is to start the, in my view, if I was advising on this, I'd want him to play at least until December in the AHL. To me, that's the spot. Like, I want to see him play, and I want to see him play the big minutes. I want to see him play on the penalty kill. I want to see him play on the power play. I'd like to see if he can actually establish a little bit more on the power play, because right now, if he jumps into the NHL right now, he'll never become a power play option. Let's just call it what it is, right? Like, if
at least not never this season.
No, but he'll never get it then, because how do you become a power play guy? You need the opportunities to do it. Yeah. If he's in the NHL right now, Miro Heiskanen and Thomas Harley are going to take it. He's never going to get it. In the AHL, he's going to get some power play opportunity. He's going to get that opportunity. Let's see if he has it in his game. Let's see how he looks when Texas has to play in California and they're playing Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. How does he look managing that 2-on-1 we talked about in mid-November when it's against San Jose at 4:00 at the end of a 3-4? Like, those are the things I really want to see from him, because I think that's the growth opportunities that he's going to be sheltered and protected in the NHL. Like, that's I think honestly one of the whole biggest issues with Nils Lundkvist is he never went to the AHL. He never had the time.
Not with the Stars.
Yeah, but still, Nils Lundkvist should have been in the AHL 2 years ago. Nils Lundkvist should have had,
because he did get sent to Hartford after, was it 25 games or something?
Yeah, but like, to me, like for Bichsel, it's something where I want to see him actually apply his craft in the way it's going to be applied at the next level. Be that number one guy. Show me you can be that number one guy in Texas, and then force Jim Nill to make a trade in December. We saw Jim Nill's done it before. We've seen him move other guys out to do it before. Force me to make the decision because you are so good at that level. That to me is the best path forward right now, in my view. And he could be ready by December 15th. He could be ready by January. He could not be ready at all this season. Let him prove that to me when he's ready. That's how I would look at it.
The way that Jim Nill and his staff work, I don't think it would have mattered if he was going to get 3 great games here. He likes them to spend time there and get to where that never happens again, and you don't have to teach anything here, and it's not going to happen at this level. So I think that what you want to see is you want to see him play. I'd like to see him play every game in the preseason and see how many of those situations he starts to play differently. Yeah. How quick does he get it? Like, if we see the very same thing again, then okay, well, it may take a little longer. But if we see something very similar to it, he plays it the right way, you're going, okay, so yes, he can learn quickly. That's what I would look for.
How about the other guys that played in last night's game in Colorado? Wyatt Johnston made his debut, scored on a 5-on-3 rebound, which is a very Wyatt Johnston type goal. Kind of reminded us a little bit of our Joe Pavelski talks of pouncing on things around the net. Thank you, John. Then we had the Arttu Hyry goal in the third period that tied it at 2. And then, of course, Lian Bichsel, or Bichsel, still going to have to work on it in my brain, scoring with, 0.2 seconds left to win it. Anything that really stood out of any of the guys not named Lian Bichsel?
I really liked Blackwell last night. Looked really good, including on the Hyry goal. He was the one who got in there, picked off that DDD pass, and made the pass out to 3 wide open Stars guys that were in front of the net. Hyry was just the one that was able to collect it. But Blackwell was good. I liked Lyubushkin as well. I think he was the one who had the assist on Bichsel's.
It was very
goal.
I didn't think Lyubushkin stood out much, and that's pretty good, right? That's
what you want, it seems like.
That's what he should be.
Yeah.
But, I mean, John, we're missing a guy. Maybe Hellberg?
Yeah.
Well, and Poirier. They were both great. They had some dynamics.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah, they looked.
I thought
they looked good.
we talk like preseason goaltending is awful typically, right? Like they're at the same time last night as this game was going on, Calgary and Edmonton were playing two split squad games
Easy
at
for
the
you to
same
say.
time. I know, and it was like I think the aggregate score was 12-7 or whatever between the two games, and like. So we talked about the travel earlier. Like for preseason goaltending, it takes goalies a little bit longer to get into rhythm sometimes. To go in and have this performance on the day of travel for both guys, for Hellberg and Poirier, really impressive. Like, and Hellberg for me I think he was such a good late pickup for the Stars. Last year it was pretty clear the Stars didn't trust Matt Murray to play games. There was a stretch where Scott Wedgwood had to play 10 or 11 straight games in a row when Jake Ottinger was injured. The reason they went and signed Hellberg when he was still available, a month ago or whatever it was because if or when Casey DeSmith or Jake Ottinger are unavailable, they can now trust another guy to play NHL games. And I think Hellberg's a really good ad for this organization. It allows Poirier. I don't think Poirier is ready to push for that, but he now gets a chance in the AHL to go win practice every day against Hellberg. He gets a chance to try to take that AHL job from Hellberg. I think it was a really good night for Stars depth goaltending. And I mean, we talked about the 2-on-1 earlier, like that save by Hellberg. That's great. I thought the right pad save in the second period, very old school Eddie Belfour kick save like on that. I like that. I like that too. And then Poirier to come in cold in the third period, only 7 shots, but still really solid. So yeah.
Sean, isn't that important? It seems like more so in the AHL because we talk about the AHL being developmental more so, but it seems like there's usually or often a case where you have an older veteran goalie with a younger guy. Like we can go to Anton Hudobin or something like that, but that seems like it'll also help Poirier a lot in terms of having that veteran experience with him.
Well, the most success the Stars have ever had as an AHL organization, Owen knows full well, it was Christopher Nilstorp and Jack Campbell pushing each other in 2014.
Literally trading off starts.
Exactly. And then in 2018, Mike McKenna Texas went all the way to Game 7 of the Calder Cup final. They tried to give Landon Bow a couple starts early in the playoffs, but they had the veteran there to allow all the other prospects to push themselves forward. Like you need that, and especially in the AHL with the nature of the schedule. There's things that happen in the AHL that are actually like illegal in the NHL. You're not allowed to do a 3-3 in the NHL. AHL, there's 3-3s. You have way more back-to-backs. It's a very Friday, Saturday schedule. So even if you say, hey, we have a number 1 in the AHL, you need 2 guys who can play 35, 40 games each. And Hellberg and Poirier, I think they're going to push each other. They started doing it last night. I liked the fact that they had them play the same game. I thought that was a really good move by Jim Nill and Scott White to kind of think about this is how we're going to plan when goalies play. So it's a good spot, and I'm a big believer that making sure your AHL team is competent. You don't have to win. You don't have to win all the time to help development. But I do think having a competent team where guys have the belief they can win. And when you sign guys like Hellberg, I think that really helps your organization in the long run. And that's just my personal view of it.
Agreed.
Sleeper?
I think it's time, but I need a little. Go on.
No.
Let's get a little
Too
salt
many.
in, will you? There it is. There it is. Let's talk about Sleeper.
He's ready to fight.
Sleeper is the best. That's good stuff. I'll just keep doing it while we're talking. Sleeper is the best fantasy league out there, period.
I'm trying to cut back.
But, But not only do they do fantasy, they also let you do your picks. So you can pick whether your favorite or least favorite player will have more or less in their projected stats each week. I really needed the salts because I got to talk about my man Shohei Ohtani on the Los Angeles Dodgers. I have Shohei hitting 1 dinger. That's all. He needs 1 dinger. And I don't know if you know, he has over 50 dingers this year, Luds, and over 50 stolen bases.
52, as a matter of fact.
Is that over 50 or
just slightly?
Yeah, just slightly over 50.
I think Letty might be a bit of a baseball fan.
He's a baseball guy. But guess what? If he just hits 1 dinger, you guys get 2.7 times your money. Thank you, John, for writing that in English this time around.
You're welcome.
With Sleeper, the more picks you combine, the more you can win, all the way up to 100 times your money. Sleeper will also keep you in the loop with instant alerts, breaking news, major injuries, and everything you need to know to keep track of your league updates in real time so you're always informed and ready to outsmart your friends or Sam. If you think you have what it takes, download the Sleeper app, use the code DLLS STARS to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Let me get some more of this in here.
You okay?
Yeah.
All right.
It's my shift. Here we go, boys.
All right, let's talk about the Die Hard program on DLLS. Yes, you too can get all the best access by signing up for your annual subscription at $79.99 for the year, and you get a host of wonderful benefits, including a free t-shirt every year. We'll give you a promo code each year you sign up, and you can get access to that. Plus, also as diehards, you'll have exclusive gear that maybe others can't get to, access to the best content, including articles that Sam and Sean write that are behind the Die Hard paywall, as opposed to the many great articles that they put on our website, alldlls.com, that are free. In addition to that, there'll be discounts on future fan events with the diehards, on discounts on merchandise, food and drink, which is interesting, a membership card and sticker pack, and our favorite thing, access to the members only, the diehard only Discord. And this week, we're doing the damn Discord again on Thursday. We kept saying this is going to be a Friday staple, but with Luddy's schedule, it keeps ending up being on Thursdays.
I need you to send that to me, because every time you tell me, Sam, why don't you tell him about DLS? I'm like, I have it, but like you have
it's
the read
literally
right there.
at DLLS Sports. It's the main Twitter page tweeted that out.
I gotta follow them.
Some bullet points that helped us along the way.
Now he's lost.
No, I was just going to say, I think one thing to mention, I think that we're good with the game 2. Game 3 of the preseason tomorrow night at home against Minnesota. We heard that Misha Donskov, the assistant coach, told us expect a bit more of a veteran-heavy lineup, which wasn't surprising. It's home. They don't usually like to make the big guys travel. We're also getting closer to the midpoint of the preseason schedule. And a couple of transactions today, as the Stars sent 2 of their junior players, Tristan Bertucci and Emil Hemming, to the Barrie Colts of the OHL. That was announced this morning before the practice that went on at Comerica Center. And I believe Barrie starts their season this Friday, so they wanted those guys to be there, so they were there for game 1 of their junior season. I
liked Hemming. I know I had a little more eyes on him because he's a first-round pick, and because Sean kept telling me to have more eyes on him. But I liked him. I think he was good, and obviously, yeah, this is an expected move. But I think it's always good if you have a little bit of an impression before you head back, especially for these guys that are going junior that are years away. It's a huge thing, and that's what we heard from assistant coach today as well. And I think it's good to do what you're supposed to do when you're here, and I think they did that.
Any other thoughts? We're good? Okay. Well, our topic for this segment is going to be a story that maybe isn't a story, but might eventually be a story.
Oh,
I know we lost Luddy already.
Where did that go?
So let's start with the tweet, John, because I believe it was about a week ago when there were ripples sent by Andy Strickland, who does a podcast out of St. Louis, the Cam and Strick Pod, tweeting, as you can see on the screen, or if you're listening, it says, NHL owners will be meeting soon to approve the expansion opening. Leading candidates / ownership groups are believed to be Fertitta, which is in Houston, and Kraus in Atlanta. Then I saw this yesterday. It's actually, I think it came out today, but NHL news about Amazon Prime doing a Monday game up in Canada on Canadian TV. Put that back up, John. And it said they talked to Commissioner Gary Bettman for that. And in it, this article from the Toronto Star, and I read it, and Bettman says there's no factual truth to what came out, nothing more than rumors. We are not opening expansion. So,
malarkey.
What do you believe, Sean?
Gary Bettman is a lawyer at heart. Let's just call it what it is. It is an NHL league run by labor lawyers. So you say the proper thing that legally gets you in as little trouble as possible. That's what I think.
So
it's a good answer.
Yeah, that's right.
It. Yep.
Right? By the letter of the law, they are not opening expansion right now.
Yep.
But we all believe, I mean, I don't know. I believe this. I don't know if you guys do. It all feels very much like there's a lot of momentum starting to build or being built for a while with Atlanta for another attempt. Remember, they had the Flames first, then they had the Thrashers. But this feels like a really concerted effort by a couple of groups with, as you saw in the tweet, one definitely leading the way. Then there's the long-time conversation from Houston, because ever since Tillman Fertitta bought the Houston Rockets, and I believe it's called Toyota Center still down there, their home arena, that the desire to have a team, which was very different under the previous owner of the Rockets for the NBA team, which wasn't happy to have the Houston Aeros, the Minnesota AHL affiliate. That was like 12 years ago when I was down with Texas. That feels like he would like a team there. There may be some mixed feelings about the Stars wanting to share the state of Texas. I think it would be fantastic. I also think that the league really wants a new building and a new relocation or restarted Arizona Coyotes at some point. That would give 3 pretty solid future plans. They have 32 teams now. Does 36 sound like a good idea? I mean, is that something you think that we'll see in the next 10 years? Thoughts?
I don't like it, but it's a business, and I think when you look at owners and what these teams are going to be going for over $1 billion, it's going to be hard to say no to these.
You say no to the
you know what I
expansion
worry about the
fees?
most? I worry about the most that they're going to get to so many teams that we're going to have a play-in game or something like that. One of those kind of play-in
In-season tournament.
I just
You don't want a one-off for the playoffs. You like
I
the-
don't. I mean,
82
I'm kind of a
games.
traditional kind of thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I just
You are?
wouldn't you think?
Yeah, maybe.
kind of.
I think
Yeah.
Sam wants to
Yeah.
go back and see if the pronunciation of that was.
I would love to
traditional.
hear from the 2 sports writers if they think that this
Yeah.
league is going to get to 40 teams.
Sean has his hand raised.
I could raise my hand. I mean, from the business perspective, the one thing that, like, Bettman is being a lawyer on this, but the other thing that comes into play, TV deals are one of the most lucrative spots for leagues too, right? So like the expansion money is a big money, but one of the things that all these 2 teams have in common, whether you're talking about Phoenix or Houston or Atlanta, all 3 of them happen to be top 10 media markets as in the United States, as in market size, as in television eyeballs, things like that. Part of the negotiation for how much your TV deal is worth as a league, when you're talking to an ESPN or a Turner of the world, is how many top 10 markets you are in. That greatly increases the value of your league to those markets. So whether when you're talking about something like this, and we're in year 3 of the ESPN deal, I think right now, is that, someone check me? Am I on that? Am I right on that?
Sounds about
'Cause
right.
It was
It was
Yeah, it
20.
was- sorry.
It was 2020. Wasn't it the 2021 season
Are
that
we?
started it?
Is ESPN and the Kraken on the same timeline?
Yeah, it was the Tampa's second cup was the last NBC game. So
That was 21.
So it was
tw-
22.
so
So 22,
22,
23. This would be the
22.
third.
yeah, this is the third year. So we're halfway through this Turner ESPN deal, and so the NHL is posturing for another TV deal 4 years from now. If all of a sudden you come to the table 4 years from now and you say, "Hey, we've added 2 top 10 media markets," all of a sudden your asking price starts to go up a bit. That's honestly one of the biggest parts of all of this. It's also the reason that, like, I once had an NHL team president tell me the NHL will be in London, England before it's ever in Quebec City, right? Like, that's like, because you always see people talk
Because
about
of the
like,
size of the media market.
correct. Like, it's like Quebec City will never ever happen in the business economics of the NHL because it holds 0 TV value at all. And Houston, Atlanta both provide a ton. Phoenix provides a ton. The NHL going, like, they're very happy the team's working in Utah and everything like that. Like, they're taking their victory lap right now. I saw one of the most hilarious tweets ever about the Utah preseason game last night, where it's like, oh, this feels like a playoffs atmosphere. Hockey belongs in Utah. The building's almost full. Like, that's like building's almost full. Playoff atmosphere, whatever. Like, that's the NHL. The reason Gary Bettman was so dedicated to keeping a team in Phoenix for so long was because Phoenix was this top 10 media market. He definitely, if he's not going to go back there, he wants in Atlanta and Houston. And from the Stars world, right? Like, I think from a business perspective, I think it probably would help the Stars if Houston comes into play, because I think it creates more hockey fans. It probably actually cuts their travel costs down. It probably creates another AHL team. The hockey offerings within the state grow up. Obviously, and the Stars would probably get a nice little cut from the new team coming into their TV area. They'd probably get a little check there. But to Lud's point, as far as things being watered down, I also just start to get to a little point of things, and where sometimes, like, I think more jobs are good. That's not a bad thing, but I think that we also get to the point where it's like it's kind of hilarious right now, and we can rip on All-Star Weekend all the time like we all do, but it's kind of hilarious right now when you're like this is what the All-Star talent is. We have to take someone from this team that clearly doesn't have anything. At the end of it starts to water the product down a bit too. So I think you have to tread carefully is how I would look at it. Like,
well, I have the hunch, and I don't have anything to report on this. It's just my feeling that Houston and or Atlanta would be in before we see the Coyotes come back to Phoenix. I just think that the timing.
That guy Murillo or whatever his name is, he's got him. They're coming back, right?
Stop it.
He's got it nailed down.
No, he's pretty much done.
No. He's already gone completely. And,
why is Atlanta going to work?
He's on the beach with somewhere.
I don't know if there's anything.
Are there 12 million hockey fans that moved to Atlanta since the last time?
I love that.
No, I just wonder if there's. Yeah, that's a good question for Sean.
No, that's because you don't have an answer.
No, because I
feel
no.
I said, why is Atlanta going to work again this time?
Because I from what I've read, and I could be completely botching this, that they're talking about having a more concerted effort to market and a better building, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, what does the building and market have to do if there's no hockey fans?
Hopefully,
to start with, or are there that many hockey fans in Atlanta?
What do you think, Sean?
I mean, well, Luds, there was no hockey fans in Dallas in '93.
Well, I thought the Dallas Freeze was here, but I'm saying it didn't work the first time.
Yeah, Sean.
Why is it going to work this time?
Was it more of an ownership issue or was it a market issue?
Yeah. I mean, it didn't worse the first time or the second time. The greatest thing for hockey in Western Canada has been putting a team in Atlanta. So all of Western Canada will be thrilled when this happens because that means at some point maybe Moose Jaw will get a team. Who knows?
Saskatoon.
Bam.
The Thrashers were killed by terrible ownership. We could call that what it is. The Thrashers were killed by terrible ownership. The team would have been fine. It could have worked. It was terrible ownership for the Thrashers. That's what killed them. And if you with these markets, right? That's just like what Dallas was. If you go in with the right plan, if you go in and say, hey, we're going to come in, and it's not just building a better rink for the team. Why did the Stars work in Dallas? Well, they came in and they built. There's a dozen Star Centers now. They went through and invested in youth hockey. It's a point where you have to grow the grassroots program where these 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds get involved in the game, and then their parents become hockey fans, and then you build this entire generation of that. That to me is the way Atlanta has to work. I don't know if it's going to work, but that's what would have to happen for it to work formulaic wise from my perspective. And it's arena being a better spot. Yes, that's important. But the bigger thing is actually investing and growing the sport beyond that NHL team.
And the reason why I say I think those two would be in before the Coyotes come back is not because the NHL doesn't want Arizona back. They would probably take them back next year if they could. But they're still in the same problem of they need sound ownership and they need an arena. And they don't have either one of those things right now. And I think it's going to take 4 or 5 years, even if they were to establish that, to be able to get a new building somewhere in the Tempe, Mesa, Phoenix area or Scottsdale that they're clamoring for. It's going to take time. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got to 34 teams, but that's not balanced. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 36 in the next decade or so.
I wish there could be a team in Quebec. I know that's a financial thing, and with the Canadian.
Did you like playing at Le Colisée?
Oh, everybody loves playing. And I mean, it's Canada, it's Quebec, and the rivalries and all that stuff. And I think the players would all love to go. You know, a lot of these players probably never played there before, but I'm just saying, I think Quebec, if anybody deserves a team, it's that. But again, I know the numbers and the dollars don't work, and I'm
what
sure
about a
that's the
second
problem.
team? They've talked about not rumors, but just speculation of a second team in Toronto.
Yeah, and right across the street is what I hear.
I was just going to say the same
How does
thing.
that work out? I don't know. Well,
There's
again,
plenty of hockey fans that don't like the
exactly
Leafs in
right.
Toronto.
They share an affiliate.
Yeah. So you know what? Like, how do you get to see all the teams? How do you get to see all the players? You know, on like number of games and things like that. So I don't know. I'm obviously old school, and I kind of like it where it is. And I just think now then you're going to extend the playoffs, and now then does that get watered down? You know, I don't know. It's just me.
Just again, another completely unrelated comment. Some good hockey in the mullet this year. Arizona State joins the NCHC.
Yep.
A little more competition over there in the mullet.
And you're all about the non sequiturs.
sometimes I just see,
What?
I think about something like right now.
Something
I'm
that has
thinking,
absolutely nothing to do with the
right now, I'm
conversation.
wondering why this mounted TV has a stand on the bottom of it. Like, are we planning on putting that down at some point? Or
You
is
mean
it-
how the
why are
TV
they-
on a stand has a mount on the back of it? You
or
said
that
it backwards.
No, but like the stands
Because
are
we
still
want
on
it to be
the-
high enough so that you guys can see it.
Yeah, but why is the stand still
Are
on
we
there?
trying to fill time?
I
Is
don't
that
know.
what we're doing?
Sean,
here?
it's time for your DLLS read,
Oh,
so
yeah.
take it over before Sam runs us into the ground.
I gotta get out of here.
What if I told you? What if I told you there was a there was a place where you can get directly to the point of being a sports fan? No non sequiturs like Sam. Nothing at all like that. You get to the point. Everyone is happy
Don't know
and
what that
fun.
means.
We have and
Like I said.
you can connect with other Stars fans. There's Cowboys fans, there's Mavs fans, there's Rangers fans. It's the place to be as a Dallas sports fan. It is the diehard level for DLLS. You should go check that out on Discord. You can ask questions to Luds here from the damn Discord. Also, I believe you get access to some pretty cool shirts. I believe John, our producer's got some pictures of these shirts. So if you put them on the
There
screen.
they are.
Yeah, look at that.
Damn
So
cowboy is.
I can't wait for
Yeah.
the DLLS flag shirt to come in because that's the one I
Yeah.
got.
When are we getting that?
I have no idea.
I'm trying to put it on
Yeah.
every day, but I don't have it
Yes.
yet.
Can't do
So,
it.
yeah.
Can't wear it till you get it.
So join the diehard. You get to support this wonderful site. You get to support what we're doing here. Let us talk hockey 5 days a week. Let them talk hockey 5 days a week. Me 2.5 days a week, whatever it is. And it's good. So become a diehard to DLS. That's the read.
Thank you, Sean.
Question: you said earlier that you get access or discounts on food and drink.
I don't know what that means either. I'm curious what that is. No, we're not looking at Luddy. Luddy's texting. He's trying to look up
get
non
the definition,
sequitur.
but I don't know how the hell to spell it either.
So-
definition of what?
I'm gonna-
Non-sequitus or whatever that is.
I'm going to
Prophylactic.
a serious moment because we do our quick around the NHL segment, and this was one that will tug your heartstrings a bit. And I'm going to give the floor to Flyers head coach John Tortorella for. He talked about something he did at practice yesterday with the Flyers, which I thought was really, really special.
Behind it is I called him and I wanted to know if he wanted to come out. It's pretty close to home here as far as with his family and all and what's going on there. He's a coach. First time I met him was today. I never met Johnny and Matt. I never met them in my travels as a coach. But their family's here, a horrific situation going on. And he's a coach, and he's done some great work out here with some of the youth out here. And I figured it's perfect just to get him in with us. He was hesitant at first, and we kind of let him go at his timetable. And I think it worked out really well today. I gave him my camp book. We're going to check in next week and see if we can get him out here a couple more times and have him be part of it. I don't want it to be come out here. I want him to be part of it. I think it'll be therapeutic for him to be around us and run some drills. And he's done it before. He's a coach. And it was great. It was great to have him here, and we'll see where it goes.
We saw him banging the stick there as guys were circling around. Is that maybe something, too, you have in common?
Yeah, well, I don't know. He was giving me shit that I was yelling at the players to skate harder. He says, you only have 3 lines out here. How much harder can they go? And so he's paying attention. So it was good. People came into the coach's room. A lot of people know him, in the organization because of his reputation and being out here and the family. So it was good. It was good, and I hope we can keep doing it with him.
So in case those listening or watching don't know, John Tortorella was talking about having Matthew and Johnny Gaudreau's father, Guy, on, I believe it's Guy, right? Not Guy, it's Guy. I hope I didn't say that. Mr. Gaudreau on the ice with the Flyers for a training camp session yesterday. And I just thought that was a really cool moment, not only for hockey, but also because we see, the media always shows, and I guess we're part of the media, all the tirades that Torts will have, especially with reporters and things that he doesn't like. But there is another side to him, and one that keeps him being, as respected as he is amongst many hockey circles. And I just thought that was a really cool thing that he did for the Gaudreau family and for his team.
And we talk as older players, younger players, guys in the middle. It's just one big family, and I think we look at hockey as we're all related. And regardless if you played in the NHL or the minors or whatever, the youth kids were, you know, because it is kind of compared to other sports, it's not as big, and so what he did was, and we didn't see the video, but at the end of it, every one of those Flyers players came and shook Mr. Gaudreau's hand on the way out. So, and I love the word that he used, therapeutic, because, you know, John's just reaching out to him and saying, listen, this is what you are about. This is what your kids were all about. Come on out here, and if it helps you somehow, some way, make it through a day, and to be around this environment that you've been around all your life, it's really hasn't been, that part of it is still here for you to do whatever you want. And when he says he gives them his camp book, those are Bibles. You know, I don't know if everything's in that book like there is for some of these other coaches, but it's really reaching out to someone.
Yeah, I thought it was great. You know, they're South Jersey guys, so Philly's they're kind of their hometown team. It's great to see that, and hockey brings people together is a good way to sum that up. And I just think that this is why we love the sport. This is why we want to work in the sport, because it's different. As Lud said, it you might not be able to put your finger on it, but it is different than every other sport out there, and just very nice touch by the Flyers.
And, of course, the Stars actually did a little tribute at the beginning of their first preseason game at home at the AAC, which I thought was a nice touch.
13 seconds, right?
Yeah, and that was really a cool thing for the organization, just to show a little bit of remembrance there. And a little bit of follow-up news from Evander Kane. We had said that he was going to have surgery. Well, the Oilers tweeted out that he has had surgery, and look at the time. It says that recovery from the procedure is expected to take a minimum of 5 to 6 months. His rehab will take place in Edmonton under the supervision of the club's medical staff. 5 to 6 months, Sean, is an awful long time, and so the Edmonton Oilers are going to have to go through a bulk of their regular season, if not just about all of it, without him, and then they'll have to decide whether or not he's available and what the cap implications are at that point.
Well, I mean, could conveniently be 7 months, and could be April 16th or whatever, and then you could add about $5.5 million player at the trade deadline. So you could do that, and then you could have both. So that's so
it wouldn't be without beyond the realm of possibility.
100% possible.
Yeah, I think Elliot Friedman was talking about it on Monday's episode, maybe, of 32 Thoughts, and he was saying that it doesn't seem like it's an LTIR kind of situation, but he also did mention that this is something that we have no idea. This is all about how the body reacts. This is not a bruise or a broken bone that's easily, the timetable set and you know how to go through it, and it's been done a million times before. He could react well to it. He's in great shape, so he could react well, and it could be 4 to 5 months, or it could be later, like Sean said, towards the trade deadline. But yeah, that's definitely not a fun rehab situation.
And when it's that time frame, there's been other surgeries abdominal wise, and they're not 5 to 6 months. And so sometimes we don't give, and I'm guilty of it sometimes, because I thought when he was playing through something very similar to Tyler Seguin. Tyler, once we found out what he actually had to go through and the rehab, it just tells you what players play through, or at least attempt to play through, because I don't think he was that player that they were hoping that they were going to get, and be that element in their lineup, when he came. And so whenever that thing, came about, and I guarantee he tried playing through it, but when it's that timetable, it was probably more painful than a lot of people gave him, credit for.
All right, last thing for us is tomorrow is another preseason game, Stars and Minnesota Wild. Oh, look, Sean wrote out a conclusion or statement that does not logistically follow the previous argument or conversation, a.k.a. non sequitur. That was for Luds.
That actually doesn't even help me.
I think logically.
Oh, there's no wonder I couldn't find
logically.
it. I was spelling it with a D or something like that. So makes a lot of sense now. So you guys just keep throwing around your big radar all the time. Feel good about yourselves.
We think there's just going to be a lot more vets in the lineup. I wouldn't be surprised. We saw Jamie Benn, Matt Duchene, Tyler Seguin play.
Jake would be mine. I would guess that he would probably start.
What are we looking for tomorrow night against the Wild?
It's going to be interesting because Logan said that, I don't know who he heard it from. I didn't hear exactly what he said, but he said that Minnesota is supposedly bringing a pretty young group. So it might be a heavy veteran group against a young group, which can happen in the preseason. But
you said the results are really secondary for individual player evaluation. So does it matter whether they send a young group or not?
No, not really. I mean, you're looking for certain things. And again, you're talking about some of the veteran guys. You just kind of get out there and let's get loose and, get a few shifts But don't go through the motion, because that's when something usually happens. So, again, this is all evaluating. You know what you're getting out of the guys that were here the last couple of years. You know what you've got from those guys. You're looking, the 2 or 3 guys that they brought in, they want to just make sure they are what they are and get them. It's more about getting them incorporated in the practices and systems, whether it's the PK, power play, 5-on-5. Here's how we do this. And so you can implement some of those things, in a couple of these preseason games. But the bottom line is we want to look at our draft picks. We want to see a couple guys we're bringing in. Maybe there's a PTO guy. What can he bring?
Sean, you don't know the roster yet, but with 50 players still on the training camp roster, which I imagine will be trimmed down over the next week or so, is there much to be read into about who gets to play if it's a veteran-heavy group tomorrow?
I don't think for tomorrow. Like, the only preseason lineup I really read into is that last one. Like, that to me is always I think that's what, October 3rd this year. Like, that's the only one I really read into. That's the one that gives us an insight of what Pete DeBoer is thinking about where people might slot, things like that. The only case I would potentially use is if there could be like breadcrumbs of guys who may have dropped off the list already. Like, for example, like we didn't have a Cole Lind to play last night, right? And like we talked about him being a guy who's in the mix to potentially make this team. Cole Lind doesn't play tomorrow. You're like, all right, well, is he really getting a chance to make this team? Are we gonna see? So that to me is the only thing I would read at all into the lineup is after halfway through to see, okay, which guys are actually getting a chance to do something here and which ones have effectively already been told, hey, you're going to be in Texas or you're going to be cut or you're going to be soon. Like that's the only read is some of the depth stuff, I guess.
So we don't have a regular afternoon show tomorrow. We're actually starting to slowly gear up toward our regular season where we'll have a full pregame and postgame show, 30 minutes before each game and an hour after every game. But we're going to do half of it, well, 2/3 of it tomorrow night. Sam and I will be there to do a postgame show immediately following the game. We'll both be at the AAC, and then we'll come over here and do our show immediately after. We can
have to get some salts or a scooter or something.
Yeah, I'm thinking scooter might be a good move.
Scooter's a good move.
We'll share one. Actually going to be traveling up to Wisconsin. He'll be remote Thursday and Friday. Sean will be back on the show on Thursday, and we will be doing normal shows Thursday, Friday this week. And then next week, we're going to do a pregame show and a postgame show
Sam's
for October 3rd.
He's looking at me.
You can tell
he's looking at me.
So day one, when we first came in and we had Brad Alberts, John and Kat, everyone told me to make sure that I turn with the microphone. So now Lutz knows when I'm going to say something to him because I turn. But I actually wasn't going to make funny. I was just going to say, do you ever stop flying?
No.
Or you're driving. Do you ever stop traveling?
No. I wish I did, but I don't. And the scary part is I got one. I didn't want to pull a trailer this time because I'm trying to get up there and get back. So I ordered one of these roof rack cargo carrier things.
Oh, how'd that go?
It looks like a spaceship. I didn't realize it was that big. I'm not sure if I'm putting the Jeep in it or it on top of the Jeep. So, and I got to go.
Well, you got to put it all on top because the three-legged dog needs the
three-legged dog needs the whole back. It's not, with only 3 legs. So yeah, it'll be a bit of a trip. And I've already got a bad feeling about this thing. I just think it could be flying off and hitting somebody in a different lane.
We need to get video.
I know, we need like video attached
this whole thing.
I'm assuming that you'll have an idea of your clearance so that when you go under an overpass, you know how
that's going to work. It's just about the cooler.
Yeah.
If the cooler's got to fit.
It does.
So somebody's leaving some clothes behind.
The rugged road cooler.
Rugged road cooler. And they say 7 days, stays cool for 7 days.
Test her out.
Test it out
This would be a test. Rugged Road, are you listening? I'm leaving at 5 a.m. I'm listening for you to call me about one of your coolers.
Just steal the one from the set over there.
I'm sure that the company
not a
would
stealer.
love
They
that.
wouldn't even notice.
Well, hey, that does it for today. We'll be back tomorrow night immediately following the Stars versus the Wild preseason game right here from our studios. For Craig Ludwig, for Sam Nessler, for Sean Shapiro, and for our producer, John Anderson, I'm Owen Newkirk. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. So long, everyone.
We all silly like the mayor.